Hi everybody, welcome to the directors panel discussion. I think that's what this is. Okay, welcome to the directors panel discussion. My name is Bill Alexander, and I'm a local Northeast Ohio writer, producer, director, camera guy, editor, chief cook and bottle washer. If it's got to be done on a movie set, I'm willing to do it. If I don't know how, I'm willing to learn. I've done a couple of feature-length movies of my own, worked on a couple of features for other local producers, and more short pieces and web series than I can count right now. But to my right is...
I'm Matt Brooks. I'm director, writer, producer, editor, sometimes special effects artist, and I actually played 2 roles in my last film, Serial Nightmares. I'm basically on my 3rd feature film, my 2nd horror film, and I also served as associate producer for a film called Babysitter Massacre, which recently got distribution through Alternative Cinema. It was a Henry Kudo film. And I'm currently doing voice work for an animated vampire movie called Lakeville of Vampires with a filmmaker from Colorado named Sonia Fernandez. And we're promoting our new film, which premiered today officially on DVD, Serial Nightmares. So that's what I got.
Robert Kotabish. I'm with RAK Films. Same thing, I do it all. We normally are a Benny Hillish type comedies we make, and feature films are usually the action comedies. However, earlier this winter, I made our first foray into horror with a movie called Trust Me Baby, which is finished, but it's too lazy to put it on a disc in order time to get it here. That said, we shot it during the winter, which was also a challenge for us outside, and that was usually our stuff's done during the fall, summer. In the winter, it was a real difference maker for us. Next.
Okay. My name is Bruno Tatalovic. I'm also a local writer, producer, director, editor, and actor. I'm not a policeman. This is just a wardrobe piece from a picture that we are promoting here at our hotel called Maintenance Man, where I have an appearance as a cop. I've done everything in the last few years locally here in Northeast Ohio. I also teach film at a local college, Cuyahoga Community College. My latest picture is called Dying to Meet You. If you Google Dying to Meet You, you will find all the information on it. Actually, my co-writer, Bob Graziosik, is here too, so he can jump in later with questions and answers. That's all about me.
I guess we could start off right here. How many people here, of course we know about us, how many people here in the audience are directors? How many of you directed a short or a feature, or how many of you would like to? All right, that's what I want to see. I want to see some hands. What is it about directing that drew you to it? What is the idea of it? And for those of you who have done it, did the idea match the reality when you started doing it?
Ish. I mean, writing, you imagine it as, much grander than a low budget, it ends up making it, basically.
One of those, if I wanted to get it done at all, I had to do it myself.
That's kind of where a lot of us come from.
Yeah.
Well, that said, that's a good point. When you start, in your mind, you've got your $500,000 budget, but what did you guys, when did you realize that, that's not going to happen? It's going to be like $1,000 total, start to finish. I mean, where and when did you start making your cuts to that?
When I started looking at how much equipment was.
Yeah.
I'm like, can't afford that.
Yeah, that's one thing that we all kind of crash into. When you're doing micro budget, they call it micro budget for a really good reason. It's because if you can fit it in a thimble, that's about where you're going to be pulling dollar bills out of. But my first movie was a feature-length sci-fi paranoid thriller called Shades, and it was I started writing it immediately after reading Robert Rodriguez's Rebel Without a Crew. And it's the story of how he made the movie El Mariachi for $7,000, which he raised by selling his body to science. Now, I didn't sell my body to science, and I still didn't have $7,000, but I was able to make shades for about $850 in production costs, not counting like camera and the editing computer and software. I figure that's like studio costs, but the actual production of the movie cost me about $850. Half of that went into a prop that shows on screen for about 40 seconds. And that's kind of the tilted nature of micro budget. You know, you have something that has to be seen in the movie, and you know you're going to throw massive amounts of money into it.
And that's really bad ask for 30 seconds.
Well, no, it worked. It really worked. But thinking that it's only on there for, you know, most people think, okay, if you spend half your budget on it, it should be in there for 45 minutes. And that wouldn't have worked. It just wouldn't. I mean, there wasn't enough story there for this single prop. But it's kind of a kicker for the end of the movie. My second movie was called Dead Silent. Actually, I have copies of it on sale. It's an action thriller where a young deaf woman witnesses a murder, and the other witnesses start dying off, so she realizes that her life is in danger. And I had things in that like I had a police officer with a police cruiser from the city of Macedonia for a day, and that cost me $100. I had 3 cops with full dress uniforms and M16s to fire a ceremonial salute at a cop's funeral. They were $50 a piece. I had a full cat excavator for a night shoot and a day shoot, and that cost me $500. So right there, that was half of my budget. I shot that movie for about $1,500. Half of my budget was gone in a week just on those couple of items, and the rest of it is like pizza for the cast. And you know, I mean, it's just really strange how skewed the budget can be when you're doing a micro budget thing. There's certain big items you've got to have for the movie to sell it, and the rest you can kind of skate by on your cast and crew's good nature.
And the scenes that he was using those the cat bulldozer stuff, you have to refigure that in your mind. How's that really going to apply to you? How can I do that with a guy with a shovel? Okay, so think like that. You know, he's rich.
It all comes down to skillful producing. I know this is directing panel, but when we are talking about, I call it no budget. It's not even micro budget.
What's important because you're both.
Zero budget production,
Yes.
but I mean, you do both things. Obviously, sometimes you are producer/director. So what we are talking about here is successful producing and how to minimize that cost and that budget that doesn't exist in the first place, but you still want to get production value. Production value meaning you want your film to look cool, to look like it was produced for a much higher budget than it is actually. So I'll give you a couple examples from our film, Dying to Meet You, which is another micro budget production. So we try to come up with ideas how to raise that production value just by inputting certain cool things in it. Like, for example, we had a scene where the limo has to show up with transporting a bunch of girls in this scene, and it's an opening scene with the music that lasts for probably 60 seconds or 90 seconds of the film, and this limo has to drive around and look cool, and even has a European plate on it because the story takes place in Europe, not in Cuyahoga County. So again, you come up with this kind of creative decisions, and you find, we had actually hard time finding a limo company that would give us a car for free in return. So what I promised would be like a 30-second commercial cut up of little bits and pieces from the movie, and that's exactly what we delivered, and we have that scene in the film, and it does look like something much more expensive than it actually is. So you kind of use these creative producing skills, negotiations, and you have to be really kind of polite on the phone when you talk to many of these people, like I'm sure you talk to police officers.
Oh, yeah.
You want to be for free.
Admit it. You're the one who killed him. You seduced him, gained his confidence, and then when he wasn't looking, you reached into your purse, and without conscience or remorse, you pulled out a gun and shot him. And cut. Curious? Visit theindygathering.com, a film festival, and so much more.
today's world, there is an absolute need to know how to protect yourself. But who has the time or money for lengthy training sessions, with techniques you may not even remember in a time of need, or which can wind up putting you in even more danger? With the Escape and Survive seminars, you will learn effective and easy to remember techniques for getting out of dangerous situations. No complicated moves, no expensive, time-consuming training, just common sense, self-defense. Book your seminar today at escapeandsurvive.com.
Have you ever wanted to be an actor? At Cleveland Academy of Film Acting, anyone can get on the path to a new exciting film career. If you're new to acting, an experienced pro, or somewhere in between, Cleveland Academy is for you. We help place our students in local film projects. Classes are on Wednesday night from 8 to 10 p.m., and your first class is absolutely free. Call 216-323-2393. That's Cleveland Academy of Film Acting.
You know, if you present a professional appearance and you're calm and relaxed and you look like you know what you're doing, even if you don't, even if inside, you know, that's part of the thing. If you're a director, you have to act like a director. So you get to be an actor first, acting like a director. Until you've done it long enough, then you just kind of live the role. So if people get that you're a professional and that you're not goofing around and that, you know, you go in a, you know, this is okay on a set, or, you know, the hat, you know, directors always wear a hat, and it's not just to hide the bald spot. You know, if you present yourself as a professional, you will be taken as one, and a lot of times you have a lot better luck going to a small town and talking with them and talking to a person in charge right from the start. And you know, the Macedonia Police Department is great with that kind of a thing, and their fire department is great with that too. If you ever need, you know, they'll come out with their whole, their hook and ladder set up. They'll come out with ambulances, whatever you need. It's great to work with small towns.
Can I interject something? I guess the best thing to say, and this is directed more towards younger filmmakers, because a lot of people will look down on you based on your age. Some people will be really pumped up, and then some people will be like, whatever, this is just some kid pissing around. So, number one step is to not be a punk ass. And remember your manners, remember your P's and Q's, but you may have a little more of an uphill battle with that. Because when I first started making a film, the first thing was, I'm making a film. Is it a school project? No. Is it like, and then the next follow-up would be, is it an adult film? So, like, getting people to actually understand that it wasn't pornography or wasn't a school project, I'm just making a film as my aspiring career. Sometimes it's a little bit of an uphill battle, but get as much stuff as you can for free first. That's the biggest thing. Get as much stuff for free or cheap as you can. And if you have those view shots, you want to put your money into it, the limousine, the funeral home, like whatever it has to be, like if you need it and you actually feel like it's a key fulcrum to your film and you can get it, that's fine. But if there's a point where it's going to stop you from production, my advice would be to write it out or restructure it, because otherwise your unfinished film doesn't do anyone any good. I've seen a lot of people that start a film, and if you don't love it, it'll absolutely gut you. It will, and you'll be miserable and you won't be able to do it. Like, these guys have finished it because they love the film. Now, at one point, you've probably hated your film and been like, I don't want to keep doing this anymore.
It's hard to watch.
You know,
I've seen it about 400 times.
And after you've seen it like 1,000 times, I get killed in my own film. So I've watched myself get shot in the neck like 50,000 times. Like, and it's a little freaky after a while, but the thing about it is just remember, like, never give up, don't back down, and really you just got to push through sometimes, and whatever that takes to get your film done. Now, there's a point where you don't want to compromise your vision too much, so you have to ride that line, but you really want to make sure that sometimes you're married to a shot, and it's like, you know what, all right, I wanted this crane shot that was awesome, but I can't get it, but can I get a nice POV from the point of view of a skyscraper, or can I do a dolly track shot? Can I get away with that? You know, and it's still as close as it possibly can. But if it's something that you really feel like you want to do and you have to do, then do it, basically. So.
Yeah, the one thing that you mentioned, and it kind of comes back to the low budget, micro budget, no budget. All of us, we're writer, producer, director, camera. So if you have to make that decision, I can't get the excavator, I can't get the limo, we in ourselves can rewrite and restructure it, and we don't have to go through any kind of an approval process or talk to a producer. We are the producer, and that kind of a streamlining shortcut And when you're working with low budget actors, they're aware of the limitations that we're all under, and they're all trying to help us. They want to see the project done too, so they're willing to roll with the punches if you have to cut corners in order to get the thing done at all.
I need to work with the actors you work with then, because
I've been very fortunate.
mine sometimes it's like, do you want this movie to get done? I gotta tell the story, and then I'll shut my trap and let everyone else know something. But this was a climactic scene, 4 pages, the zombie script. The guy gets his chest cavity ripped open. It's a big scene, and it's a big moment for everybody that this hero of the film dies. It's kind of a late third act bloodbath, basically. And I get there, the guy says he's got all day, and then he shows up an hour late, and then tells me he only has 3 hours to do this whole scene. And it's 5 pages, and it's dialogue, and then there's a bunch of action, and we've got a special effect that we've got a latex down to his stomach. I mean, we're talking about a full stomach prosthetic here, and it was just so ridiculous, and you kind of felt like, do you want this film to get done? And then it seemed like you're going to have this where you're going to have When It Rains and Pours. Then you get the second blow. The girl's like, well, I'm like, we'll just shoot it another day. She's like, I'm moving to California in 2 days. She didn't mention any of this at all. She's like, I didn't think it would go over. You didn't think it would go over 1 day of filming the climax. So sometimes what I say to guys is when you tell your cast, like when they say they have all day, make sure that their definition of all day isn't from noon to 4 o'clock. Make sure it means literally a 12-hour blocked out day or whatever you think it's going to be, because otherwise you're going to get screwed, or you're going to have to reinvent like the wheel, and you really don't want to have to do that. So, I mean, had I known he only had 4 hours, I'd never would have cast the guy. But I didn't know this. So you have to make sure you ask the second question. Well, are you available that day? Yeah. Are you available all day? Yeah. What is your definition of all day? Sometimes. So you really have to make sure that you're following up with that.
And one thing that I've noticed is sometimes by accident and sometimes by design, the more I've done stuff, front load the production of your movie with all of your big ticket, big budget, high difficulty stuff early. So you get your guy who's available for 3 hours, okay, you can recast that guy and then have somebody else do all of the easy dialogue stuff and whatever later, rather than have all of the easy dialogue stuff done and then, okay, we need to have your chest ripped open. Well, you have to do it in 3 hours, or I'm going and the girl's moving to California, and then you're screwed. But so sometimes, like with in Dead Silent, the cops, the excavators, all of the cemetery, all of that stuff was in the exterior stuff we were shooting in the autumn. I got half the movie shot in 2 months of weekends. And then we took a break for the holidays. It took me 5 months to do all of the supposedly easy dialogue interiors to fill out the rest of the movie. Because I had one guy, my lead bad guy moved to Arizona, and I had to pay to fly him back out. And I had another good guy he got half of his stuff shot, and then he opted out of the project, so I had to reshoot all kinds of stuff with a new actor, and so it's just front-loading the higher ticket items can be a good way to guarantee that at least your production values are, the things that you believe are really essential to the movie, you have them in there.
It's kind of 6 of one, half a dozen of another. In other projects, I've done the climax last, and it's better because everyone has gotten into their character more. So,
that's true.
We should ask these guys, what is your experience, both of you guys, would you rather front load your project with the special effects earlier, or would you rather wait
I would
later?
agree, actually, on my film. That's exactly how I planned, because of the same reasons that you mentioned, because you might lose either cast, or you might lose location, or you might lose all kinds of other things. So usually, first 2, 3, or 4 days are probably the toughest ones, not only because of those reasons, but because of so many other reasons, because people might not show up. I mean, that actor or actress that was signing all this paperwork and telling you all these beautiful stories, how dedicated they are.
They always do.
Usually one doesn't show up, so count on that. One will not show up. No matter is it like 10 of them or 5 of them or 55, one will not show up. And it will give you, somebody's going to die in the family, 2 hours before the call time. But I'm sorry, those are the excuses that we get all the time.
Before my girlfriend broke up with me, I had to do my line. You wouldn't believe the stuff that you hear.
I haven't heard that one.
No. I perfectly, I can believe all these stories because it happened to us too. I mean, and What you have to do then is you have to find the ways to get out of it right on that spot, on that day, on that hour. Like our first day, we shot at a little airport in Cleveland. Obviously, the most difficult stuff, you know, you have 25 extras and 10, 15 actors and limousine and all kinds of other stuff. And one actress doesn't show up, and now, okay, what do we do now? And you make phone calls, no, you can't find anybody because you have to start shooting right away, all these people are waiting. So now, okay, plan B. Since we are producers, writers, directors, we can make decisions. We don't have to call Sony in LA. so plan B, let's rewrite the damn thing right here on the spot. So, okay, now we have 10 characters, now we have 9 characters, okay, so let's, with all these 9 characters, they, you know, this is just a visual scene, you know, everybody's walking, bullshitting, you know, and there is no much of the story structure in that first scene. So, you know, next night or next couple of nights we'll write extensively and restructure everything, and that's how we did it actually. And it works out at the end, but you have to make these decisions on the spot because you can't just say, well, I guess she didn't show up, but we're not going to do anything. Let's come back next. No.
One thing you can do in that situation when you have 10, well, down to 9, you can shoot the scene and you have 9 girls. It'd be really easy to imagine that one of them is just lost in the crowd.
Exactly.
And she can just show up
and
later.
That's exactly what we
Oh,
did
okay.
actually, because you know, another person didn't show up, you know, later in the production for one scene. And it's pretty much like you shoot around, yes. Yeah. So okay, where is she? I mean, I doubt that there will be a fanatic in the audience. There are actually people like that. They write stuff on IMDb, they catch this stuff, but they don't have life. Okay, no, I'm serious.
Are you planning your next film or commercial project and looking for ways to take your production quality to a new level without breaking the bank? Try Millersburg, Ohio. Through the North Coast Film Commission, Millersburg opens its doors to filmmakers, helping you get exactly what you're looking for at lower costs than the big cities. Extras, crew, locations, permits, and anything and everything you need to make your project a success. Find out more at northcoastfilmcommission.com.
You get into that, you know, directing mode and writing mode, you will have these answers. These answers will pop up in your head, and you will find these solutions right on the spot. And you just, at that point, you don't care about the audience. You do care about the audience, but at the end, they will love the finished product. So if your hour-and-a-half film is as finished product, is as entertaining and good, they're not gonna look for that little missing piece. It's not really crucial for the story if at the end it serves the purpose, entertaining these people with no life.
Well, the other thing I was going to interject before, Robert, before you answer, because I want you to answer, but I just wanted to add this. I wanted to add this like tiny little point, just before I lose it, because I'm neurotic as hell. But anyway, basically, one thing that you can do if you're not, like, say he was running a limo, so in that case he couldn't do that. But if someone doesn't show up, if you're not doing that, you can always shoot until a person shows up if they're late, or shoot something else. If you've got a really relaxed cast and they really know what's going on, you can always shoot something else. And either until that point, or do that instead of scrapping a day completely. That was the only thing I wanted to add. So
I was going to say, Bruno mentioned being in the director mode, okay? You know, I'm not saying this stuff doesn't happen. It happens to me all the time. You know, the casting, people not showing up. And you're in the situation more often than not where you're rewriting things on the spot. Most of us have done, we wear all the hats and we're in this by ourselves. There's a lot of things that people who are beginning to do this don't pay attention to. I'm talking about production schedules and shot lists, and they're talking about shooting certain scenes at certain times. You need to pay attention to that stuff. You need to know your cast. We work with a lot of the same people over and over for a reason. If you need to cast somebody new, you've got to do your best screening. I can't tell them a story that they haven't heard, okay, but you have to do your best to screen these people. Try not to work with friends. I know that's hard to do, but you got to kind of stick with the people a little bit more professional. To take this a little more seriously, but I can't, express enough. You have to put in some time as far as preparing like a schedule, a shot list. Who am I going to have for this scene? When do I need it? Where? Set it all up. You've got to do that, and your stuff will fly by.
Yeah, the one thing I noticed is that after I'm done with the script, once I have the script polished, I have a script read, I get feedback. Sometimes I'll have actors, I'll have other writers, and I'll get writing feedback, I'll get actor feedback, how they feel about the character, whether it's the ones that are going to be playing the role in the movie or not. After that, once I have the script fairly solid, it's never solid until you're done with editing, but once that script is fairly solid, the next thing I do is write a breakdown. So I have the script, I know what locations, what are my interiors, what are my props, what are my action props, what are the actors, what are the wardrobe they're wearing for these particular scenes, what do they have to bring for each particular day, how many pages of script am I shooting. So I have all of I'm not shooting off the script, I'm shooting off the breakdown. And that's what you're talking about. I don't have to, since I'm the writer, producer, director, editor, I don't have to use a shot list myself, but I do have to work from a breakdown.
Or a storyboard. We do everything ourselves. I do my own camera work, as you can notice if you've seen our stuff. But storyboards. I mean, that's huge, but sometimes you don't use what you don't need. Okay, everything's like kind of in your head. But if you are that rich and you have the ability to use somebody, or you do it. But all I'm saying is, don't let those little details slide by. Just because it's just you doing it, you'll be sorry.
yeah.
Before you shoot, how many weeks, months for a film, like 2.5 hours or something?
Depends on how good you are.
It depends. Yeah, it depends on a lot of things. How involved the production is. It depends on the cast, how much you trust your cast. Dead Silent had fight scenes in it, and I had to get with my fight choreographer and my lead actors we were scripting out the fights. I had them outlined in the script, but I said to my fight choreographer, take them, make them right. He's got more black belts in martial arts disciplines than I have knowledge of. I mean, I'd never even heard of some of this stuff. So I said, take it, you see what I want. I want it to be gritty and ugly. I don't want a clean Jet Li kind of fight. I want it awkward and off balance. And the first time so he had an idea of what I wanted. We did the fight scenes for about a month. I'd say from my audition in early August until the week after after Labor Day. So just over a month. we were in production from my audition to the, because I had to get 2 months in of exteriors before winter closed in. And luckily it was a late autumn. So it depends on your cast, it depends on how involved the project is. You know, and as I'm trying to find cops, locations, the excavator, while, you know, during the week while we're shooting on the weekends. So I'm doing organizational stuff while we're not shooting. I'm not even looking at the footage I've had because I've seen it come through the camera. I'll kind of scan it. But for the most part, I'm in full running mode, going from, you know, in constant contact with the actors. This coming weekend, these are the scenes we're going to shoot, so I'm going to want you to be, okay, this is the wardrobe you're going to need. I want you to be in this kind of a mindset. This is what your character knows at this point. You don't know this yet, but you are going to know this part. And so, you know, they're all on the same page. And I'm going out and I'm location scouting. And I'm going out and finalizing props that I may need. And, you know, whatever it is, so as far as time goes, it depends on, you can't really organize the thing and then go into production. You're kind of organizing it while you're in production.
Yeah, it really just depends on, like, I've done it various different ways, but I flip-flop on how to do it. With Bone Cave, we had to build a cave set, so that ended up taking like 4 or 5 months. So I was able to give everybody all that prep time, which was nice. So we had everything done, but basically as I was putting in time at the shop, helping build the set, our actors, I got them the script as early as I could, so they were looking at that script the whole time. So they were getting it, and they were sending me text messages and giving me phone calls and asking me, what about this character? I was sending them playlists of music they would listen to, because they were young adults, and it was kind of about the rave culture. So I was like, all right, you want to listen to Aphex Twin, and this is what's really cool, and this is what's in, and I basically was trying to give them a backstory. So they have a backstory. So even though it might not be in the film, they know what happened before college, and they know if they survive what happens after. You know, so you help them build their own backstory, and that helps a lot of actors to know where they're going and why they're doing this. And you know, it almost becomes like they've created their own child in a weird sort of way. So I like to show them that. I like to show them movie clips or just inspirations of this is how this person would be. With Bone Cave, it had kind of a Clerks vibe, so I was like, watch Clerks. Watch Clerks 2, watch some Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. Like, I want you to watch these characters and kind of know how the dialogue is delivered. Don't imitate them, but I kind of want you to get the idea of this is the kind of thing that we're doing. Now go watch Friday the 13th. As much as you can imagine that, this movie is going to be a culmination of 2 of those. So it really just depends on, you know, what you're doing. But if you have a more simple script, you might have less time that you need to prep.
Welcome to Horror Hotel.
Cleveland Academy for Self-Defense is Northeast Ohio's premier martial arts school. Located on Cleveland's near west side, we teach several martial arts disciplines, specializing in Taekwondo and Hapkido. As taught by Master Ray Such, students of Cleveland Academy learn discipline, formal martial arts training, and real-world self-defense techniques. Classes are available for children and adults. Cleveland Academy for Self-Defense, the home of champions.
Are you a filmmaker and looking for the location of your next project? Contact the North Coast Film Commission. With small cities throughout Ohio, we're here to help with your film, television, and commercial productions. With low to no cost permits and locations, we'll help stretch your budget. From our production resources to our talent database, we will show you just what the North Coast has to offer. Visit northcoastfilmcommission.com today.
Here we're talking about zero budget, no budget, micro budget. So at this level, yes, you want your rich family and friends if you have it, because that would be the best option, honestly. Because if you really have rich friends and family members, and they like you and they believe in you as an artist, and you are able to convince them to put money in your film, I think that's the best way to do it on this level. If you don't, again, on this level, the next thing which is popular in the last couple of years would be this crowdfunding going on Kickstarter or Indiegogo, but don't be mistaken, it requires a lot of marketing and publicity on your part, because if people don't know who you are, they're not going to give you anything. So it helps to have maybe 5,000 Facebook friends, but out of those 5,000 Facebook friends, obviously they're not all friends, they just, they call them friends. Mark Zuckerberg invented that bullshit. But hopefully, again, out of those 5,000, 500 maybe like you, and out of those 500, 50 might give you 10, 25 bucks. So you might be able to raise something. Again, crowdfunding, it's kind of, people talk about it a lot, but it requires so much self-publicity, and you have to reach out and, again, convince people to give you that money.
It's also difficult to find, if you've ever done one, if you don't put it in a major city, it's difficult to even find your campaign. If someone's looking for one to search your campaign, unless it's in the major city, it's very difficult to find in the search engine. It's not optimized very well.
Actually, I have experience with that. I was just involved with a project that's shooting here in Northeast Ohio this month, and it's hard to find it. When I told people how to go to it, they can't find it. So
it really has to be optimized. So even if you're in Columbus, like even if you're not in Cleveland, but you're close-ish to Cleveland, put Cleveland. Or if you're close-ish to Columbus, put Columbus. Or if you're on Toledo, put Detroit or something. Like whatever you want to put something that's
it's all come back to you. So you have to, obviously people can't find you. So you have to now build your own website right away. You have to build your own fan Facebook page and all these social media publicity tools that are available for free, and just spread the word. Every day you have to be online, and every day you have to send emails and post little things about this beautiful project, and hope. And also, not only that, you have to have something to show there. So I would say, and this is what I say to all my film students, do not attempt to do a feature film if you never shot at least two or three short films. And I see people do that. I see people, because now the equipment is available. It's much cheaper than 10 years ago when we shot on 16 millimeter and other stuff. So now people buy these cool DSLR cameras, and they think, oh, I can make a movie. But what did you make before? Well, I shot some YouTube videos and some stuff like that. No, that's bullshit. YouTube videos. I mean, we are talking about casting here. We are talking about locations. We are talking about serious stuff. Do not attempt to make a feature film unless you shot at least 2 or 3 short films in the last 2 or 3 years, and unless you are on imdb.com. If you don't know what imdb.com, you shouldn't have a place in film production. You shouldn't even think about it. Okay? No, I'm serious. I'm not joking. I have a phone call this morning from a friend of mine, actress who was in my film, and she got cast in this promising feature film. I'm not going to make any names. It's about 100 miles from Cleveland, but it's here in Ohio. And she got a lead role in it, and she traveled there last night, and this morning she's texting me, oh my God, this is a nightmare. These people don't know what they're doing. Producer quit on the first night. 2 actors showed up drunk. What do I do? What do I do? I said, well, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Next time, do not, go for people who don't have any credits behind their name. And I checked their names, and they are nowhere to be found. They never shot anything, and they are doing feature film.
Do you think that's a problem with crowdfunding? Is sometimes people are able to
No,
leverage
that's a problem
like
with just being there.
I've seen this happen where crowdfund, like you're a big group of guys, and they were able to leverage a ton of money, and then you get there, and it's spent on marijuana, and and then they don't know what they were able to leverage the crowdfunding. They were snake oil salesmen, for lack of a better term, and they were able to leverage that.
For all of you who actually want to be filmmakers, again, go out there and shoot a simple, I call it 3-2-1 short film. 3-2-1, meaning 3 pages of script, 2 characters only and 1 location only. If you can do that, and it makes sense, it's actually 3 or 4 minutes of entertaining content. You got something, you know, okay, I can now move to something bigger. So next time write a 10-page script, do a 10-minute short film next year, okay? So take time. Maybe 3rd or 4th year you will be able to do a feature film, but again, be very careful about it, because unless you successfully do a couple of short films and send them to indie gathering or festivals like this, they will accept that this is decent. That's how you build your publicity, your portfolio. If I'm an actor, and I am an actor too, I'm a professional actor, I'm in 2-3 films this year. If I don't find your name on IMDb and you claim to do a feature film, I'm just gonna laugh, okay? But apparently, a lot of people, a lot of beginner actors believe, and they find it on Craigslist or somewhere, and they say, oh my God, there is a feature film shooting. Oh, I'm so excited. And what happens? It's a nightmare.
Here's another point to that, and it kind of touches back with talking with actors and people that you can trust as actors. If you've done a short, if you've done something a little bit longer, and you've worked with these people on a couple of occasions, you're seeing talent that you can count on, more talent that you can't count on. You're seeing trends in personalities of actors. You're learning your craft a piece at a time before you take a big chomp onto a feature. And, you know, begging your pardon, I started with a feature. You know, I did one
an exceptional man.
I did a 3-minute short, and then I did a 3-minute short starring me and me and me. There's 3 of me, and it was a lot of fun. And then immediately after that, I started my first feature. And you're absolutely right. Don't do it that way. You know, do as I say, not as I do. It was a great learning experience. And I was very fortunate that my cast was really up to the task, and they appreciated the pressure that I put upon myself. But I was also fortunate enough that before I started my own first short, I was working as a PA and, you know, doing lighting and doing camera work and other stuff on other people's sets. So I was learning about actors, and I was learning about camera angles, and I was learning about how you set things up, not just that you see them on screen, you see them how they are set up on set so that you can do it the way that they've done it. So it's, you know, sure, I started with a feature, but there was a lot of other movie stuff that I did before that.
Well, the other thing too is,
Give me a shot, okay?
all right. You know what? I'm giving you that. I'm not gonna.
Your question was on financing, okay? Bruno's correct. It's I would go that way too. You got to have your credibility first. If it's a 1-minute short, just make it. You could show it in a coffee shop, a bar, the library. Just to sit back there and get all 4 people who are watching its response or whatever. The idea there for the financing is that alone will give you an idea of what it takes, what it's going to involve. And you're talking about a feature film. Well, you're going to take your script, you're going to start breaking it down, and you're going to get your budget in mind, where you're talking about a scene where you need a big bulldozer or something. It's like I said, I meant it in a joke, but it's not. How can you get away with that's going to cost $50. Well, you don't have $50. Like, you get 50 cents. You know, how am I going to change that? That's where all that comes in, and you start to, the dollars start to come, and then you have a better sense of what you're asking for. If you're going out looking for 10 grand, you don't. Okay, all these places he's talking about, Indiegogo, Kickstarter, those are all fine. I know very few people that have accomplished that goal, no matter how modest it is, no matter what you're giving away. So you gotta be as down to earth as possible for a starter. You know, you'll make a hit. Dynamite is pretty good. All right, you don't care what. Yes, I did.
I saw it too. I saw it this winter.
Don't let them fool you. That's good stuff. All right, you can do stuff like that. All you guys can. We did. You know, so I mean, don't think. Go do the little thing first, and you'll know what it takes as far as what you got to do, what you got to worry about. Then worry about your finance.
You two have disrupted my classroom for the last time.
What are you gonna do about it? Spank us?
She can't spank us. It's against the law.
Spanking would be too easy. I'm gonna cause more permanent damage.
And cut! Curious? Visit theindiegathering.com, a film festival, and so much more.
And that's one thing I try to tell people. Like, I went to media school, so I'm not saying don't go to school, but you'll learn a lot on a set as well, volunteering. Like, and that's really, really cool. But once you actually help someone out, I had a friend that offered to do my DVD offering for free for me for my last film, and he did a great job and saved me some time because I helped and I was a PA. I hung lights and I wasn't above like liking for him. It wasn't anything glorious. He never asked for my feedback on anything. I just showed up as a grunt and I did it. But in return, he said, "Hey man, I know you're having a rough time. You're trying to get to this deadline. I'll author your DVD for you." So you earn those favors, and you're also earning respect in that point too, because you're saying, "I'm not too good to work on your film." There's a lot of independent guys that they're so focused on getting their own stuff done, they don't want to go help the other person. And even Robert, him and I developing a friendship, Janet came over and did a cameo for us for the latest film. So we networked, we exchanged information, we've talked now about collaborating on something, so it's great to do that. Don't make that person your competitor, make that person your friend. Like, there's enough of a market for all of us to make something of ourselves and make it. And I think so often we try to, I want to be better than this guy at the end, or I want to be better than this guy over here, instead of making the best film that you can and supporting each other.
Yeah, it's all in networking and collaboration, again, because that builds your reputation. Using an example of my film, 2 years ago, it started as an idea, then progressed into a screenplay, but what eventually became is this huge kind of network, because I started with collaborating with one writer and another writer, and then when I did my first audition, I had another 10, 15 actors, and at the end now, if you look at the credits, I have 70, 75 people listed there, and everybody contributed with something, okay? And everybody did something for free, essentially for free, because people believed in the project and people wanted to be part of that project. And now, 2 years later, not only that you have this nice network of people who respect you and respect your work because you finished and you had public shows and it looks good, but now all these people actually network with other people and it just spread around. And now I can go into, for example, my next project, and I don't have to worry, will I have enough people for my camera department or makeup department. There are so many people who would love to work with you because, again, of your reputation. You start the project, you finish the project, and you have a public show, and people say, okay, this is cool. So, it's there, we see it, it's done, even if it took 2 years. It took me 2 years to make that film, and again, going back to how much it drains you. Well, it drained me in the first 3 weeks after I shot it. For next year and a half, I wouldn't touch it. I changed like 3 girlfriends before I finished the film. Honestly, I'm not sure.
It's true. Your personal life will actually, God, this sounds like such a negative thing, but your personal life may take a strain sometimes. Like I worked with my girlfriend on the last project, you know, and we're actually looking to get married. But yeah, we worked on a film for a solid year together, and
if you weathered that
we
storm,
survived. You know, we survived. But I mean, like I guess what I'm saying is, he's right. Like you'll have some impact on your personal life, and it will be stressful.
Well, I would say the bottom line on this level is, again, no budget independent underground filmmaking is, build your reputation, be a nice person and build a network of nice people around you, and people will trust you. And these people are around here because most of us know each other. I work probably with 10, 15 people who are walking around the Horror Hotel right now in 2 or 3 films. If you come to Indie Gathering in a couple of months, everybody knows everybody. We are Northeast Ohio kind of film community, and I might be directing or producing one film and then acting in a couple of other films in Northeast Ohio, which I do actually this summer. And again, if you have that kind of professional attitude and you build this network of people around you, local people, there is no problem to have pre-production that's only like maybe a couple of months, and then you can now actually do a film successfully. You don't have to worry people quitting on you, because it's a group of people who actually trust you because you already worked with them. Yeah. But more than that, I would recommend everybody to volunteer on other films. Volunteer on other films. Don't have this attitude, oh, it's not paid, oh, I'm too good. No, I mean, forget about this bullshit, I'm too good. I volunteered probably in the last 5 years on 50 short films. I've been in film school on a graduate level too. In 2 years I've done there probably 20, 25 films. I've been grip, electric, everything to cinematographer, director, everything. Volunteer, everything. Just because I wanted to learn hands-on. And as you say, it's a great thing. If you just have to pull the cables and set up a couple of C-stands, and that's all you have to do, that's perfect. You just stand there and observe actors, observe director, observe DP, and say, oh, this is a free film class right here. This is fantastic. Yeah. So volunteer, yeah.
All right, with that, I believe this is the end of this session here. This is you guys are awesome.
All right, get on 5. No one else is going to do it.
What's that?
I was like, get on 5. Come on. Yeah.